welcome back once again to Dadnarok. This is Sean,
And this is Chris.
and tonight we'll be talking about the very first episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, new Game of Thrones show on HBO. Very excited to talk about this new series. But first, who are we?
We are, I believe, Dadnarok. We do a lot of reactions. We do a lot of family talk. If you're new to us, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are very interactive. So if you're watching live, drop a comment there. Let us know what you think. We'll go ahead and we'll pull it up and bring up your point and see if you're wrong and not us.
We'll argue with you.
There we go. We love a good argument. But
Yeah.
like Sean said, we're going to be talking about some Knights of the Round. I don't know. I said that wrong. So
Knights of the Old Republic. um, First off, I want to get because you and I have not talked about our reaction on our initial thoughts of this show. What do you think of this first episode of this show?
I was very, very underwhelmed. Almost
Okay.
to the point where I was like, I wanted a different show, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And I had my phone in my hand almost the entirety of the show. It did nothing for me.
Yeah.
Now, the going forward portion of it, like I watched the making of the episode, which HBO does a great job of that. After the credits roll, they give an interview with the actors and everything. I watched that, and then what's coming, that all looks amazing.
Yeah.
But this episode was hard for me to get through. And I guess I understand they had to introduce these characters, but I felt like they did it in a very drawn out, kind of almost painful kind of manner.
I think that's fair. I probably enjoyed it more. I definitely did enjoy it more than you did, though. But I can see your point where it's kind of a slow burn this first episode. I feel like we'll ramp up. I feel like I'm curious if this whole season is just this tourney. You know what I mean? Like,
That's exactly what it is. That's based on what they showed going forward. The preview going with it only being 7 or 8 episodes. That's
yeah.
exactly what it is. It's he goes forward, he smacks the Targaryen, and then he's put into a trial by death or fight.
Oh, well, spoiler alert. I didn't know any of that.
Well, that was all. That's all they gave us on the preview.
Okay.
It's like that.
Okay.
I didn't learn anything like going searching for anything. That's something they actually have out there for um, just consumption without giving any more context to it.
I feel like maybe I didn't know a ton about this show going in, but I feel like I knew at least that it was going to be I knew that we weren't going to be following like royalty, we weren't going to be following the big warring families and factions, with like very important characters like kings and queens and, this kind of thing. Like I knew it was going to be this knight and this kid who so I guess because they weren't really in peril, and you're right, it was a character building thing where they introduced us in a very kind of slow, methodical way. I mean, the first, I don't know, good 10 minutes of this episode were just him talking to himself and those horses and his
I
dead
didn't
knight
need
of the
him shitting on
caretaker.
the other side of the tree either. By the way,
You didn't think that was funny?
I almost shut it off. I was like, I didn't need that.
How they were playing the Game of Thrones theme and then like cut it with him just shitting.
I mean, I guess if he died on the shitter, but I mean,
Like Tyrion's dad,
yeah.
Tywin. That's funny. I enjoyed it. I liked at the end of it, I was like, okay, like I want to see where we go from here. I I'm interested in the characters that they introduced. And this night is a fairly legendary night when it comes to when we hit like, the OG Game of Thrones timeline. Like Duncan the Tall is like he is a knight of knights. So it's curious how he gets there from this, this kind of a tall goofball,
And, and
you
you
know?
know how I think I would have enjoyed because the way I'm understanding these characters, Sir Duncan and Egg, it's like they're almost a mythological type of characters within this world.
Yeah,
I would have
yeah.
rather them gone to a family and like some dad is sitting down, you know, bedtime or around a fire, and he's telling a story. And it didn't have to be one continuous 7 episode story. It could have been
Yeah.
like each episode is separate. It's a different story that these children are growing up with and they know. And that's kind of, I think, what I wanted. I wanted something like within that world that their kids are like stories being told to them rather than getting
Right.
what we're getting.
You know what? That could have been a great introductory or like a bookend to the show if say we open up the show with like a kid version of Stark or something, like Sean Bean's character, where it's like he's a young boy and he's hearing from his nan or
Mhm.
father or whatever, like the stories at the bedside, or like reading a book or something where it's like you don't necessarily have to get like a same actor from the previous shows, but you like, oh, well, that's a character, and here's a point of view that we've never seen, and this is them, like a character that we know of, and be like, well, yeah, I think that would have been an interesting way to start, as opposed to the way we did with pooping behind a tree.
But yeah, I think
But
it
even then,
it
like you
ended
could have done
well.
something where like the storyteller in the beginning like really talks it up, right? Like, oh, he was the greatest knight, and then you smash cut to the guy like pooping behind the tree, and
Almost
just
like
being
in
like,
Aladdin. You know how the opening
yeah,
of Aladdin, you have the genie singing the song, and it
yeah,
goes into the story of Aladdin. I mean, it
right,
could have been done that way as well.
yeah. So I'm willing to you know, follow along and see where we're going from here. I think that's a fair criticism, though, as far as like an introductory episode. It was a little lackluster. Like it's not an attention grabber. Like
No.
you have to be coming to this show already interested in Game of Thrones as a whole, and probably already kind of be somewhat aware of this character to really be like, okay, I'm on board with it. Because if you're coming in totally fresh, I could see where it's like, I don't know.
After that behind the tree scene, I'm out. But I mean, think about it. The original Game of Thrones hooked you immediately. I mean, you were
Yeah,
going north of the wall, and then they were coming back, and you were like, "What's going on?" And it was an immediate attention grabber, and you were
there's
stuck
yeah.
in.
There's mystery
Yeah,
and
House of
supernatural
the
stuff.
Dragon had their, gets you into it immediately. It's almost like this show here is banking off their audiences watching both the other two and know, okay, maybe we can come into this at a different speed. And they may take that be taking that for granted.
I can see that. Yeah, for sure. Because you're right. Because you've got either the original show with, you're right, with how that's probably one of the best opening episodes of a series is the first episode of Game of Thrones, because it's you get introduced to the idea of the House of Stark, and they're protecting the wall, and like it's a bunch of like lore dumping, but it's
Mhm.
done in such an interesting way. Um, and you're right. There's the mystery of the White Walkers and their supernatural stuff, and it's an attention grabber. And then, I mean, House of the Dragons, you're already aware of that stuff, but you also get big ass CG dragons,
Yeah.
right? And like very interesting actors and stuff. And not to say anything against the basically your two leads that play Dunk and Egg, but they're unknowns. Like we don't, as far as I've never seen these two actors before. So yeah, you're hinging a lot of goodwill. Like you need a lot of goodwill going into the show to be like, okay, I'm excited about it.
So I mean, I'm on it, but I mean, the episode itself got progressively better. Like by the time
Yeah.
he was in, oh, was it the Baratheon's name? We were just talking about it. The Laughing Storm.
Oh, Lionel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When he was in there and he got caught up to the tent and he was completely out of his like, I don't have nothing for you. I'm here for supper. I love
Right,
that
right,
line. I'm
right.
here for
Yeah.
supper. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
And then he ends up just like drinking with him and just kind of dancing with him because he kind of caught him on the carpet. You dance, doesn't everybody? And it's like, oh hell, what's gonna happen here? And they start dancing and drinking. Next thing he's wearing the crown. He's up at the head table. I'm like, okay, I'm here for this. By that point, I'm enjoying what I'm watching. It took a lot to get to that point, though.
Yeah, and I think what the episode does well, though, if if am to give it some credit, is that it does a lot of maybe not world building or attention grabbing scenes, but it does do a lot of character building. Like, I have a pretty good idea of like who Dunk is, Dunk the Tall. And seeing a guy like this interact with the world around him, like two scenes, like for instance, like exactly what you're talking about. There was the scene with Lionel Baratheon, who was kind of like charmed by Dunk, because
Mhm.
I think
There's almost an
Lionel.
innocence.
Exactly. Like he's like, okay, well, this guy, he may be an idiot, but like he's on the level, and he's probably I'm gonna have a different conversation with him than I would with any other kiss ass that's around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he finds him interesting, at the least. And then the other scene too, where he keeps trying to get the attention of another lord so he could, I guess, get permission to be in this tourney, and he keeps running into these, ladies of the night that are,
Yeah.
servicing this guy, right?
Who are
And
making fun of him at every step of the way too.
yeah, and he gives them pause where he's like, do you really need to mock me? Like, and they think about it. They're like, they even apologize, and it's
It's
just
like,
like,
no, I guess not.
I think the world of Westeros is so used to these knights, which you typically think is chivalrous and kind, all the things that you think of a knight,
Mhm.
in the traditional sense.
It's the exact
Really,
opposite.
yeah, in Westeros, the knights are typical, like, they're basically out for themselves, very just like pro athletes, or just like it's all about me, the kind of thing, brash, headstrong. And this guy, Dunk the Tall, is like not that at all. Like he believes in like the fairy tale knight, this knight in
Yeah.
shining armor kind of deal.
Well, he's talking about joining like the Night's Watch as to be honorable. It's like, do you
Yeah.
really know what the Night's Watch is?
And it's funny juxtaposing that with how we saw the Night's Watch get formed, in the other show, um, House of the Dragon,
Hold on, am I
where
saying that right? Night's Watch is that's at the wall, isn't it? I'm
oh,
sorry.
you're right. The
Uh,
night, no, no, the Night's Watch is at the wall. What is it called?
it's
The Night's
City
Guard,
Watch.
City Watch.
It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
City Watch.
For
Maybe it's
King's
City
Landing
Watch. Yeah.
or the Night's
If
Watch. I
you're
don't
watching
even
and we're
know
wrong, go
anymore.
ahead and let us know.
Yeah, there's a
You
lot of
guys know where I'm
similar
going with
things.
this.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, it's a juxtaposition that I like, where he is has this totally different worldview than the people around him. And I think Egg, the kid, we don't get much of Egg so far, but we get just enough to kind of know what he's like as a character too.
He's an orphaned kid. I'm getting it right. Who was working at that inn. I don't think that was his family or anything. That's why he had no trouble leaving. And that's why I think
Yeah.
Dunk had no problem bringing him, kind of taking him on as a squire. I always felt it's like, I'm not going to hit you or anything. And he kept on threatening him. You want me to thump you? I'm like, well, are you going to thump him or are you going to?
So you're not spoiled as far as who these characters are or anything?
No.
Okay.
Basically, it was almost like like a movie trailer at the end of it. It was like
Yeah.
coming this season. So this is kind of what's going to happen. It gave you an idea of the direction you're going.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. Well, there's some reveals as far as like who these characters are and how they relate to the world around them, which will be interesting. Um, I am excited for the journey, to see where we go. Like, is this guy gonna become? Because so far he doesn't seem to be a badass at like, even in the
No.
slightest. We didn't even get to see him fight or defend himself or anything, really,
Yeah, because there was
so
that one
far.
night that challenged him. That's how he
Yeah,
wound up going into uh Sir Lionel's tent because his
yeah,
squire, I guess his nephew was like, "You want food? Yeah, of course."
right, right,
When he didn't go ahead and step to challenge him, it almost caught him off guard. It was like,
yeah,
why not? Why are you not going to fight me? You're huge.
yeah, yeah. And that is fun to watch, to see him kind of catch everyone around him off guard by just the way he treats people and his behavior and stuff. And I think a lot of people will write him off because of that, and maybe that's why he gets ahead, because people underestimate him. Um, but it's interesting to introduce this character and really not get into how good of a fighter or a knight he actually is. Like, according to this first episode, like he wouldn't be very good, because even the knight that raised him seemed to be, we don't even know how good he was. He could have been a crap knight. He does certainly not a famous knight, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. No one knows who he is. I mean, he talked to at least one person. You know, it was like he fought for you. He's like, who? When he gives him the
Yes.
who,
And I thought the flashback scenes were kind of great too because, Dunk would say one thing as far as what his point of view is, or even maybe like caught in the middle of a lie, and then we flash back, say like, you were always kind, or you never hit me, or you were gonna teach me how to be a knight, and then went to a flashback to what him as a kid and how the actual interactions were, and it was nothing like that. Like,
oh yeah, he was getting the crap kicked out of him left and right. It looked like.
yeah, and even asked me like, "Am I to be a knight, sir?" And the guy like laughed and like spit. Like, so that's another thing too, where it's like I don't think Dunk. He said he gave this whole story about before his the guy who was taking care of him. I don't even know the knight's name. I forgot it. But
It was
before he
so
died,
irrelevant. Yeah.
yeah, before he died, he made him into a knight. But I don't. Everything else in the story is pointing to that didn't happen.
Did that even happen though? You think about it, or is that he just saying that so he can fight in this tournament?
That's what I'm feeling like is that he's just claiming that he's a knight, and but does it even matter because nobody even knows that guy anyway.
Yeah, no one has. He's not under any banner or anything, and you can. It's completely irrelevant.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a cent to his name. He's got 3 horses and now this tag along kid. And I'm just curious how he gets from there to one of the most legendary knights. And that's kind of the point of the whole story, right? That's
Yeah.
why we're here, to see what that journey looks like. But it's going to be a lot less supernatural, right? Because it's like the White Walkers aren't doing their thing yet.
Yep.
The dragons are pretty much phased out and have been for at least like a generation or two. Because this sits like right in the middle between are the two big,
Yeah.
shows that we're used to, House of the Dragon and the original series. And this is kind of smack right in the middle where the dragons died out already and the White Walkers are still kind of snoozing. So it's interesting. Like, it's like we won't have that supernatural stuff really, or I don't think so at least.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see a three-eyed raven or anything in this either. I think that's just kind of now when he went to the tree, I was looking pretty closely at the tree. I was like, is there a
Yeah,
face in that tree? Is it one of those trees that we're accustomed to? And I
right.
didn't get anything from it. I thought it would be a cool little throwback for him to
Yeah,
say this is the world and there are people, other forces watching everything that's happening, which there are according to lore that's been put down. But yeah, I think he's going to wind up fighting under the banner of the Baratheons.
oh, you think so, huh?
I think once this season is said and done, he's going to be fighting beneath that banner. Now, how he gets
Possibly.
there, I don't know. And then what
Yeah,
happens if he, winds up moving on or whatever it is. But I think the interaction that they had, Sir Lionel and him had in that tent was very purposeful.
yeah,
And I think that's telling us something going forward. And if he has a falling out with a Targaryen or something, he can fall back to the Baratheon, who may not have the same love for the Targaryens that other people do.
right.
So that kind of I think that's where it's going to end up. I don't know how it's going to get there right now, though.
Yeah, it's a little crazy that they greenlit this show because I feel like there's not a lot of Game of Thronesiness to it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, sure, you have the names of the houses as far as like Baratheons, the Stags, and the Lannisters and stuff. Recognizable like places like the Reach and the in different portions of Westeros. But it's like you don't have the big dynamic family interactions, the big drama between different families. You don't have the special effects laden like, dragons or White Walkers or even like the Lady in Red with the fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when we were getting to the original Game of Thrones, magic had been dead and it was just starting to come back up. And House of the Dragon was still like, had full size dragons. And this is like nothing like that. And honestly, if you were to even take this out of Westeros and said this is just kind of a generic Knights of the old, round table kind of thing, like a Knight's Tale or something, like you could buy that. Like it doesn't even have to be set in Westeros so far, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can pull the name Game of Thrones off this and nothing changes.
Yeah, yeah.
To this point, nothing changes. So I mean, they did have the dancing like scene, I guess, with almost like a I don't want to say robotic, but type like dragon performance inside the tent,
Right.
which kind of gives you more of that. Okay, I know the setting. This is helping set where we are, in this world. This is Westeros. This is what's going on. He talks
Yeah.
about going to King's Landing, like you mentioned. I think I heard someone mention what was it? Another area. I'm forgetting the name of it.
Oh, Lannisport, like yeah, they do drop some names. But it's like you got to be looking out for that kind of thing too.
Mhm.
It kind of could
You have to
go right
know
over
it,
your head.
because
Yeah.
even I, when I was just kind of like half in, half out of the show, when it was
Yeah.
just kind of, it wasn't drawing me in. Since I know the characters, not these characters, but I know the world. It
Yeah.
actually, like, things were clicking. Like, okay, I like that. I remember this. I like that. It was actually queuing up memories from the actual show, from the
Yeah.
Game of Thrones show. That I'm like, okay, I remember that. Well, maybe I want to go back and watch that. It was doing more of that for me than pulling me into this. Now, hopefully, like I said, next week we get
Yeah.
more, but they're not very long episodes, and we're only getting 7 or 8. I think it is.
I'm really curious how this is going to pan out because so far Game of Thrones has kind of been, two hits in a row. Like, say what you will about the final season of Game of Thrones, but like for the majority of the run of that show, it was like culturally like relevant. You know what I mean? Like people
Yeah.
were talking about Game of Thrones, and even House of the Dragon, even like the original series left with such a stinker. Yet people were still excited to get House of the Dragon, and that show's
Mhm.
quality was good enough to make people excited again, even though they didn't like how the first one ended. They were still excited. This one, I'm curious as like, are people going to be talking about this show? Is this just going to kind of come and go and pass by without a lot of chatter online or anything?
I haven't
Um,
seen a whole lot so far, and we're looking at it's Wednesday and it aired on Sunday.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I usually with a Game of Thrones show, I mean, it starts the minute the show is over, and
yeah,
then it goes for a week before the next, the episode starts, and then that cycle just starts over again.
yeah.
I haven't seen much.
No, it does not feel like the event that the other two shows have felt like, which could be bad for it.
We are in a different time of TV though.
Yeah,
But I mean, still, it's Game of. I mean, House of the Dragon is falling in the same era of TV that this is. So
right.
it's really not an excuse for this being what it is. I think it's just it's gonna have to be word of mouth. So
Yeah.
I think even the original Game of Thrones, it was strong with the people that knew about it,
Oh, for
and then
sure.
the and then it grew to what it became. Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
like like
yeah.
the I think when they actually put out like the first like 10 minutes of the show as like a teaser to pull you in. I stumbled on that, and then I
Right.
couldn't wait for the show to start.
Yeah,
So hopefully this will be. It can't afford to be too slow a burn because of how short this season is. So people have
right.
to start talking about it soon and fast to get this to take off more than
Yeah.
anything.
Because there's a lot of competition out there as far as like we've settled into this thing where it seems like all of the streamers are kind of firing at all cylinders now. Because it used to be like Netflix was the big daddy and the other
Mhm.
ones were just kind of like, didn't even compare. But I feel like all of them have kind of nestled into what they are doing. You know what I mean? It's like they all have their hits, they all have their culturally relevant stuff. I mean, HBO Max just had like, the Welcome to Dairy show and stuff that was really kind of drawing the popular zeitgeist, and like Paramount Plus has the Star Trek stuff, and like, I mean, the Yellowstone stuff and all those
Yeah.
spin-offs. Like you've got your faction that's way into that. Um, Peacock, not necessarily. Peacock still hasn't really. But Apple TV, like you've got your, Ted Lasso, of course, but like your kind of niche programming, like Pluribus was a big hit for
Yeah.
them.
They have
Um,
a Monarch coming back here real soon.
yeah, so it's like
I
I
can't wait
feel
for that
like
one.
we're at a point now where you could name a good handful of shows that are specific to these streaming services, and even like kind of regular TV is still network TV. Well, actually, I say that there's still a lot of hits on network TV. I mean, it's probably more for the boomer generation these days than you and I even, but there's still some people watching your Chicago Fire and Chicago PD and all that other stuff too. So there's basically what I'm saying. There's a lot of competition,
Yeah.
and
And if you don't
um,
grab them out the gate, you're going to lose them.
yeah,
And I feel like that's what this show's in danger of, not grabbing them right out the gate and not coming
yeah,
back next week. Because if they come back next week, I got a feeling next week is going to be a lot better than this week, and it's going to continuously grow. And we're going to build
right,
off of like what I really enjoyed was the back end of the episode,
yeah.
and then we'll kind of see what happens from there.
Well, that's probably part of a larger conversation. Like, can shows even afford to be a slow burn anymore? You know what I mean? Because it's just like you're all shows are always now. It's like TV shows aren't TV shows anyway. They're just like 8 hour movies, right? And if
Mhm.
you don't get your plot and your character and the events and the eyeballs on the screen within the first, one or two episodes, then it's like you're probably doomed because people are not going to come back
Yeah,
and watch.
and seeing that there's so much time in between, and we don't do we know, is this a limited series? Is this a one season show?
To my knowledge, I don't know if they are. I feel like HBO usually, I mean, they kind of did this with The Last of Us, where they knew that there were, there were two games or whatever at the time, and I think they always intended to do like both, adapt both into series. And I feel like there are three books. These are actually based on
Oh, okay. So
books.
there's actual like information. This isn't just like
Yeah,
someone's just producing something. They're pulling
correct.
from already canon that's out there and a story that's been
There was
told.
a,
Okay.
yeah, there was another author that kind of worked with George R. R. Martin to make what they call a novella. I don't know, it's just like a shorter novel, but it's basically like three short stories where it's the adventures of Dunk and Egg, and I think they even had like a comic book series. So there's like actual storylines that this show is going to be based off, and I think the intention is to make like the first season based off that first novella, second season, and the third season based, but you got to draw us in, man. You won't get
Yeah.
those seasons two and
Yeah. You
three.
won't get the second two if you can't land the first one here. Uh,
Yeah,
okay. I mean, I think as a whole, you liked it a lot more than I did.
I
Uh,
did. Yeah,
it has a lot more work for me to go ahead and get me really intrigued. Like the most intriguing part for me was seeing what was coming. That's
yeah,
that's not good.
right.
I should be intrigued by the show, not the preview to the future.
Well, it's always bad when you've got your phone out. That's our
that's
standard as far as Chris goes.
that's our barometer. If I'm holding my phone while watching something, it's not
Yeah,
getting my attention. But we're gonna finish. We're gonna continue this. We're not bailing. We're gonna watch it next week. We're gonna come back. Typically, we're Mondays. This Monday we had some illness come in, and then just timing, so we pushed it off till today. But catch us on Mondays, right about 8:30. We're gonna come on here. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna enjoy this. And we typically finish up with some family stuff, a little bit of lighthearted, fun stuff. But I think that's about where we're at with this episode. What do you think?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're gonna be here talking about episode 2 of the Night of the Old Republic. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
The Knights
Game
of
of
the
Thrones. A
Ren.
night. Oh my gosh, yeah, the Knights of Columbus. Whatever. I don't know. But we'll be back next week to talk about it.
Oh my god.
And I don't know. Until then, what do you say? You got a new Game of Thrones thing to say at the end of the episode?
I don't know. You better not. I'll leave it be.
Winter's coming.
Winter's coming over. We'll catch you guys
Yeah.
next week.
Oh, winter is coming. Speaking of which, everyone, good luck this weekend, especially in our
Yes,
neck of the woods.
very much so. Catch you next week, guys.
See ya.